Moon at night. I wanted to catch it during my walk, but as you can see, we have some clouds. And I would say it seems to be an unusual view of it, since there is additional light from up and down, and it looks like a pulsar. I hope it will be later visible also on the monitor. But anyway, there are a few clouds which I suppose will disappear in a moment. Currently we have got a full moon. And so I would like to tell you that some time ago during my walk in the forest at night, I like it very much since it's very quiet and all the stars are visible very well, I just realized that I can see my shadow and everything around me is visible without any problems. So I just started thinking if it's possible to achieve energy from such light on my photovoltaic panels, since this light is directly reflected from the moon, and the moon doesn't have its own light. And of course I wanted to verify if somebody tried to check something like this in the past, or to look for some articles of that. I also would like to check by myself, by a voltmeter, if my photovoltaic panel is producing energy tonight. All knowledge according to this phenomenon, which I gather, I will provide to you in this video. Besides, I will also tell you how the photovoltaic panels works. We will see how it ends. As you can see, I'm in the forest, and even my shadow is visible. I hope it will be later visible also on the monitor while watching this video. Okay, let's start. Our Earth, visible from the space. Isn't it beautiful when the sun shines on it in a dark universe? But the installation isn't the same at each place on the surface. Since the amount of energy reaching the Earth depends especially on the latitude and on the season. And this difference increases when moving away from the equator. With the moon we have got exactly the same situation, and the amount of light reaching its surface is not uniform and depends on a lot of additional features which I will tell you later. And the sun, the closest star to us, according to Earth is enormous, and it's about 110 times bigger, but even then comparing to other stars is very little. But with such big size, it gives at 1 second energy which is equal to 10 billion nuclear bombs of 10 megatons TNT each. This energy is radiated in each direction, and to Earth, due to the distance of 150 million kilometers, reach only a small amount of it, and even then it is dispersed and absorbed by the atmosphere. The brightness of the moon is about 400,000 times lower than the sun, or 380,000 times lower when it's a supermoon. This phenomenon gathered a lot of people who would like to see this unusual view. Last time it was visible 13th of November 2016. But we still need to remember that it's still the distance of 357,000 kilometers, and the moon doesn't shine its own light, but only reflected from the sun. And mainly because of its regular surface, it is able to reflect only 12% of light reaching it. But many people are wrong and think that only 50% of the moon's surface is visible from the Earth. Moon movement is irregular and is based on constant wobbling, which is named libration. The moon is turned towards the Earth the same side, but is visible about 59% because of the movement mentioned before. Even Copernicus wrote about this in his works. And now, it's time for a short break and additional quiz. I would like to ask you if you ever wondered what is the true color of the moon. And I mean when we will stand on its surface and take a look on it carefully. Which option would you choose? 1, 2, 3, or maybe 4? Believe me, sometimes it's better not to bet, because you can lose too much. I suppose only a few of you really guessed what is the real color of the moon. Only a few of you would win the main prize. The moon is not monochrome and has got many colors and different shades. Unfortunately, I haven't got the dark or milk chocolate, it's within additional ingredient. So, the true color of the moon is like you can see on the screen. It has got different colors and some people say that its color is similar to chocolate. But there are also orange, grey and blue places. It depends how much titanium is on the surface. When there is a lot of titanium, we should see blue color, and if there would be less, we would see orange. So I managed to find a few articles about the true color of the moon, and also another website where you can exactly see that they are telling that the moon isn't grey. We can see also here that the main colors are blue, orange and chocolate. I need to add that Americans who landed on the moon were so deeply shocked by the true color of the moon that they changed the pictures of it to be closer to grey. They thought in that time that nobody would believe that the moon is blue or orange, and as far as I remember they saw orange surface. So you can see that the moon looks different than you thought. And why we have got so different reflections of the moon? Another person would ask. Mainly because it depends which lengths of visible light will be deflected in Earth's atmosphere and next go to the moon's surface. Okay, so we could switch to the sun here, since the moon is explained. I would like to focus on the light, how it is created, what are the main features and how this light will produce electricity. The light needs about 8 minutes and 30 seconds to reach the Earth from the Sun crown, and it depends where exactly is the Earth, since the Earth moving around the Sun on elliptical orbit and sometimes is closer and sometimes further from the Sun. And how the light or the photon is created. In not so big stars like our Sun, the main source of light is synthesis reaction of two hydrogen nuclei. And I would like to add that the radius of the Sun is about 70,000 kilometers, so we should expect that this photon reaches the Sun's surface after about 3 seconds. But I will shock you and tell that this time is about million years, and the light which you can see currently was created even before humans appeared on the Earth. And what is the photon by itself? Shortly, it's elementary particle that is quantum of electromagnetic field. And how we should understand this electromagnetic field or electromagnetic wave? What exactly it is and how it looks like? So this is interpenetrating magnetic and electric fields. We could say that the movement of electrical particle is the source of magnetic field. And the final result of that you can exactly see on the screen. Please take a look on the maximum and minimum of these fields, which are the same in time. So the maximum electrical field is associated with maximum magnetic field. But the wave movement we can also describe by the wavelength and frequency, which tells us how many time wave is changing in time. According to the wave on the screen, the frequency is about 3 Hz, and this corresponds to the radio waves. And now take a look on visible light, which is responsible for the electricity production from the photovoltaic panels. It has got very narrow range. On the top we can see the wavelength and on the bottom frequency. When the light is shined on the metal surface, its energy is transferred to the electrons, which after receiving amount of certain energy named work function, of the surface can leave this surface, and we call them photoelectrons. But this mainly depends on the frequency of the light and so also of its wavelength. Please take a look on this experiment, where on the metal surface visible light is shining. This light contains all colors. On the screen on the right, the energy of the photoelectrons is shown after using different color of the light. After using red light, you can see that the pointer is not moving and shows 0. And this tells us that the red light has too little energy to remove electrons from the surface. This process is next continued for yellow, green and blue filter. This experiment tells us that the energy of work function of a surface not depends on the light intensity, but rather on the wavelength. In that case, it doesn't matter how long we will use the red light and shine on the metal surface. We will never achieve the energy to release photoelectrons, but when we change the wavelength to, for example, green light, only one photon will be enough to provide such energy. Very similar observation you can also make by using special tool, which is available on the website. In this tool we can choose the material, the light intensity, and the wavelength, which is set in this case on 400 nanometers. On the right side we can see the graph with the electron energy. So let's start to decrease the wavelength slowly. We can see that the speed of electrons is increasing. During this process, also the energy of the electrons released from the material surface is increasing. This is shown in a very simple way, since the change of energy here is continuous, which in reality is not true and has got a form of energy quant. This works also in opposite direction. When we increase wavelength, the electron energy will drop. When we change material from sodium to copper, it turns out that the used wavelength is too high and we need to decrease it to release photoelectrons. So, starting from the middle point, we can see that the influence on the work function of the surface has got also the material which is used. Repeating the process, we reach 237 nanometers, when the first electrons appear on the screen. Changing the material again to platinum, we will observe that for the same wavelength, no photoelectrons will be released, and there will be no photoelectric effect. It will appear below 177 nanometers. Based on that, we can make a conclusion that the photoelectric effect depends on the wavelength of the used light, but also on the material of the surface. Okay, so let's take a look on my installation during night, how it looks like. If somebody follows my channel already knows that I've done everything by myself. And as you can see, there is an indication of some voltage which comes directly from the moonlight. And I'm really surprised by the results, since I didn't expect so high values, and it was even higher, up to 7 volts. Now maybe there are some clouds again. On the second string, where I have got only 6 modules, there is 4.8 volts. So as you can see, even at night the photovoltaic effect appears, and it is associated with the light reflected from the moon directly. I even found out 2 other persons which also describe this phenomenon on YouTube. and added it at the end of this material. So if you like this screen and would like to see some additional news regarding unusual photovoltaic effect, please subscribe and support me, since this work took a lot of time and additional effort to present it in a very simple way. The first person made the best measurement in my opinion, since he chose supermoon light for that, so the closest position to the Earth of the Moon. On his multimeter we can see that from one module he received about 270 millivolts. Next, he measured all his photovoltaic installation and get 1.7 volt, and also check the current with 0.11 mA. This power is only enough to supply on very small digital clock. The second person checked very small hand module and gets about 0.34 volts. So that will be all from this material. Thanks a lot for watching this and see you soon.